Thank you. At this time, we'd like to acknowledge the land in which we're standing today. We are located on the lands traditionally occupied by the Siksikapi, the Blackfoot Confederacy. Blackfoot lands extend north to south from the North Saskatchewan River in Alberta and Saskatchewan to the Yellowstone River in the state of Montana, and east to west from the Grand Sand Hills in the province of Saskatchewan to the mountainous Continental Divide. Today, 4 nations make up thank you, I knew I could count on you guys. Siksikapi. The Kainai Blood Tribe, the Piikani Nation, the Siksika Nation, as well as the Blackfeet Tribe in northern Montana. As both the traditional and current landkeepers of this area, the Blackfoot Nation have welcomed people from other Indigenous territories, including all signatory nations of the Treaty 7, members of the Foothill Métis District 1, and non-Indigenous people who have come to call the city of Lethbridge home. I'd like to introduce Mr. Derek Fox, CEO of the Blood Tribe Department of Health, to come up and introduce our drummers. Thank you.
Not quite as tall as Mr. Nixon, but a little bit taller than Robin. Thank you, Robin. And again, just thank you, everybody. Thank you, Martin, for the blessing in our way of life. It is always so important as far as, again, the spirituality that we have. Again, that's our connection to our ancestors. So at this time, I do want to just, additional board member that is here, Shannon Wells, as well from the board of directors as well. At this time, again, part of our blessing is the honor song. So we do have, and we're very honored, having the Big Corner Post drum group performing for us. We have Everett Wolfchild, Alex Shade, Kyle Crowchief, and Napi Wadsworth. So again, thank you, gentlemen, for blessing our ceremony today.
Yeah!
Thank you very much. At this time, we'd like to ask the Honorable Minister Jason Nixon, Minister of Seniors, Community Social Services.
I have to move this crate they bring. I don't think they bring this crate for me, but I do think they bring it because of me. So I apologize for all of those who are not significantly tall like myself, who have to speak at the same podium as me, that use the crate, but thank you very much for those who thought of it. It's great to be home here, back with all of you in southern Alberta, in Alberta's third largest city, Lethbridge, and of course in the Blackfoot Confederacy, a place that is very special to me, where I've had a lot of time to be able to tour, and over the years, and all the different cabinet portfolios that I have had, and be able to interact with this community. It truly feels like home when I come down to southern Alberta. My staff will tell you that when I see the tour schedule and I find out I'm coming down here, I'm always happy. The only other place that makes me more happy is when I'm home in Sundre, but you guys are a close second. Before I say my comments today, though, I'd like to just take a quick moment and recognize several of our fellow Albertans, many thousands of our fellow Albertans across the province right now who are experiencing evacuations because of wildfires, and say that all of us here today, our thoughts and prayers are with those communities and with the men and women who are fighting to keep those communities safe. Particularly for me, a quick shout out to home, Water Valley, and Mount View County right now, which I know is experiencing a tough fire situation, though it looks like it's under control. And as soon as I'm done this, I will be racing home to be able to make sure that we're with our community, to make sure that we get through it. But I just want everybody to know we're all Albertans, and that our thoughts and prayers are with Albertans. It is exciting to be here today on this day. First of all, look at this crowd. This, I think, emphasizes the importance of the work that is taking place right here. You know, when I first became minister, I took over for the former minister, who happened to have been a guy I shared a bunk bed with for about 15 years, my little brother, Jeremy Nixon. And I met with him to say I was going into his portfolio, and I kind of got an update from him on the things that he had been working on. And he said, Jason, the first thing you got to do is you got to go down to Lethbridge and see the work that we've been doing with the Blood Department of Health. And it was actually my first trip in this ministry, just a little over a year ago. And we came down and we spent a whole day together, me and Dan Williams, the Minister of Mental Health and Addictions. I did a Q&A with the Chamber. We had several meetings that were put together about the significant impacts that were taking place in the community around both the drug epidemic and the homeless situation in Alberta, in particular here in the Lethbridge area. And I said to the community at that time, because I saw what my brother saw as soon as I got here, and I should maybe just back up there, as many of you will know, my brother and I grew up in the mustard seed in Calgary. We grew up in homeless shelters. We understood the operation of homeless shelters very, very well, and I saw what he saw, which was something that was very special, in a way that we could really focus on working together in a very different way, particularly in partnership with our Indigenous nations, true government-to-government work to be able to have a positive impact. And I remember saying to everybody, I think we're on to a better mousetrap down here. And I challenged the community at that time to come together and to really work hard to be able to make this work. And I remember saying to you that I didn't want to put too much pressure on you, but I believe that this would transform how we did this elsewhere in the province. And that if you guys didn't get it right, it was going to have an impact on all those communities, and that we were really depending on you. And then, sure enough, I came down about a half a year later. We got a memorandum of understanding signed right here in this very room that said we're going to go forward in a very formal way in a long-term partnership with the Blood Department of Health and many of the social services community or nonprofits in this community, as well as the city of Lethbridge, and we committed to that. Simultaneously, we started to see exactly what I thought would happen. We got our Enoch Cree shelter operating in Edmonton, an absolute critical partner to the work that we're doing with some of the most challenging homeless crises anywhere in the country that is taking place in the city of Edmonton. And that partner has been absolutely critical, following the same model that started right here in this shelter here by you fine folks. And so, yeah, I think that's worth a round of applause. So I'm excited to be back here today to fulfill my commitment. That if you were able to do that as a community, to come together, to help us do shelter different, to help us do shelter better, and to help us save more people's lives that are experiencing homelessness and the impacts that come from homelessness, that I would come back and that we would build a new state-of-the-art shelter here in the city of Lethbridge in partnership with the Blood Department of Health, to be able to make sure that we can continue this critical work for generations to come. And so I'm happy to be here today to announce that we will be turning the sod on a $5.4 million total project, $4 million coming from the government of Alberta and $1.4 million from the city of Lethbridge on the land. This shelter will almost double the capacity of the shelter capacity that we have here in Lethbridge. It will be able to put more resources into the shelter and connect better to the other partnerships that we need inside this community to really work on this challenge together. And I do believe will continue to be the model that we will follow in other communities in this province as we continue to go forward. I believe leading the way on tackling the homeless challenge in this country and in North America. So I want to thank you again for all of that efforts. I do want to also just, if you want to give a round of applause for that, I shouldn't stop you. I want to emphasize that this is a partnership, and the work that we are working on when it comes to both affordable housing and homelessness in Alberta is really focused on not the government doing everything, because we can't, but instead being a facilitator to bring together many different groups in the community to be able to make sure that we're empowering and properly resourcing those organizations to be able to accomplish big things like we see taking place here today. And I do want to emphasize a couple of those partners, not all of them. There are many here. I mean, you see law enforcement here and many different agencies that work very, very closely with the work that we're doing here. But in particular, I do really want to recognize the Blood Department of Health. This is what makes this project unique. Who have done an incredible job. You know, my Deputy Minister Farmer, was just here a couple hours ago. She's on her way back to Edmonton. She's been in Lethbridge with me working on a couple other issues over the last 48 hours. And she took some time to drop by here before she headed back to Edmonton. And this is a lady who's seen a lot of homeless shelters. I mean, she has been in charge of the department, worked in the department a long time. She called me today and said, I've never seen anything like the work that's taking place here. And I just think that emphasizes that work that's coming from the department and why this works, that Indigenous partnership. And I want you to know, as long as I'm minister, we're going to continue to do that. And I believe that the government's going to continue to do that for a long time. And the other is, you've seen her, Robin James up here emceeing, and her team over at Lethbridge Housing. Robin is also the head of our CBO, our community-based organization here in Lethbridge, is a critical partner. She's a dear friend, but she is a real critical partner to me as minister. She is one of my go-tos for everything that we're working on housing, a trusted advisor. And at the same time as I was challenging that community, I was challenging Robin to figure out a way to help us figure out how we're going to pay for this and be able to figure out there was a mechanism in that partnership with her organization. So Robin and her whole team, I want you to give them a round of applause at Lethbridge Housing Authority for their efforts. And then lastly, and there's certainly many more, but I want to talk about His Worship Blaine Higgin, the mayor of the great city of Lethbridge, his entire council, his city administration that I see is here today. I challenged them too on those tours. I met with city council. I said, this is what I think has to happen. I really want you to come to the plate with us in a partnership in a big way. We had to go through several technical difficulties along the way, as you always do with a project of this magnitude. They came forward in a big way, got that land on the table. That's $1.4 million, which is not a tiny part of this project. And I truly believe the city of Lethbridge will continue to be a long-term partner to the work that we're doing here. So Your Worship, thank you to you and your council in all your incredible efforts with us in the province for what I think is truly going to save lives. So let's give them a round of applause. And now I've already been up here too long and haven't even looked at the notes they gave me, so I will try to wrap her up because I know we're going to hear from a lot of other people. But I do want to emphasize that in Alberta, we continue to see some real challenges when it comes to things like affordability of housing. The inflation crisis that we see taking place is not unique to Alberta. It's taking place all over the world, particularly in Canada. The drug epidemic and the significant situations that we're seeing in our communities and the growing impacts of homelessness. Our government remains committed to investing in significant ways to truly tackle those problems. We're spending I just announced the other day, almost $1 billion in investment in more affordable housing. We're working on a process with all of our partners on $9 billion invested in housing between now and 2030. We're investing the most in emergency shelters at any time in our history. And of course, we're driving forward with the largest recovery plan of any province when it comes to tackling the drug addiction crisis. Because we're not only committed to investing and making sure that we work together to solve the problem, but we're actually committed to having an impact. And we really know that money alone will not solve these problems. We have to continue to go across the province, make great relationships like we've done here with the Blood Department of Health, empower those who are on site, able to help face these challenges, be behind them, give them the resources. And I truly believe that together, we can make the province of Alberta, again, the best place to live, and certainly the best social services system anywhere in this country. So thank you for being my partner, and rest assured, Lethbridge and this amazing shelter will continue to be amongst the highest priorities of the Department of Seniors, Community and Social Services. Congratulations, and I look forward to seeing the completed shelter.
And Robin even brought her high heels for Minister, and I still need a crate. Thank you, Minister Nixon, for your words. At this time, we'd like to invite to the podium the Councillor for the Blood Tribe Department of Health, John Littlebear.
Okay, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome. I was kind of caught off guard. I wasn't expected to speak. I thought I was just sitting here, but no. But I just like to acknowledge the government of Alberta for all the funds and the city of Lethbridge. I thank you for all the teams, the Blood Tribe Department of Health, and all of the stakeholders. And ultimately, we're here for the people. That's what we're here to get the business done and help our people in the long run. So with that, I'll just keep it short and sweet, and thank you again.
Thank you. Please welcome our mayor, the mayor of the city of Lethbridge, Blaine Hagan.
It's not many times I want to be able to stand up on a crate, because usually I'm a pretty tall guy, but I tell you, when I sit beside this fella here, I will actually maybe move it aside, although I would feel a little bit. Would it be about his height? Yeah, that's right. All right. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be here. What a pleasure it is. And I want to thank Elder Martin Heavyhead for the prayer to start us off. I think it is very important, so thank you very much for that. And for all of the introductions. I know I'll skip one if I start going through them, so thank you, Ms. James, for those introductions. I want to thank my colleagues, especially for being here as well, and for all of you for attending here. What a filled house that we have. I want to go a little bit different on this. About a year and a half ago, it's maybe a little bit more than a year and a half ago, we had a conversation about what we can do to help the services that are within the city of Lethbridge when it comes to shelter. And I sat down with Mr. Weaselhead over here, Charles, and we had a little collaborative conversation with many others from the community, and thought, what can we do to better what we have within the community, and service better those folks that are most vulnerable. And here we are a year and a half later, and I'm absolutely delighted to see what has come this far and where we're going. I tell you what, when I talk to Blood Tribe Department of Health, I know for a fact they're saying it wasn't easy. And I think we all know, if I look at faces around here, it's not easy. And you know what? It's never going to be easy. But I know what the top thing, although they didn't run shelters before, but what they did have was care. They had care and compassion for those that were most vulnerable on our streets. And you know what? That is the starting part that will get us to where we need to be. So I want to thank the Blood Tribe Department of Health, especially for the work, not just with this groundbreaking here now, but the work over the year and a half that we've been here and what they've done for our community. So thank you so much for that. I do also want to thank the minister. I know we've had many conversations, Minister, and through this whole process, and trips back up there and trips yourself down here. We talked about ways, again, going back to what we do to better serve the community in Lethbridge. And so I want to thank you for being open and available at all times and be able to collaborate with us. I remember our city manager, myself, here a year and a half ago, cruising up there to talk exactly about what we can do. And so thanks to our team as well and all the work that we do as a council and working together with other levels of government. Ms. James is the community-based organization. You're an integral part in this. And I know Shilpa's hanging off somewhere in the distance, but you know what? I want to thank her because this is someone who's done a lot of work to get us to where we are here today. So I want to give all of them a round of applause as well. Thank you. In closing, I want to talk a little bit about the shelter. It's not just a shelter. This is a resource center. We see that. It's a resource center. It's not a place that people can go if they just need a place to lay their head down at night. This is not only a shelter. It's a resource center. And I know that there's a lot of changes, and I'm sure there'll be more announcements in the future, so I won't spoil any of that, but I know there's going to be some great excitement on that and how this can transform into more than just a shelter. It is a resource center. It is currently that way now. We've heard many folks that have been given opportunities to enter treatment and to other things that have happened right here within this facility. So it's not that it's not happening now, but there's so much more to go. We can always be better with everything we do, and I can see that happening. So that opportunity to give a hand up, not just always a hand out, help those folks to get to where they need to be. So thank you, everyone here that has been a part of that journey and that success, to be quite honest. So thank you, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of the day.
It's almost comical at this point that I need this. Thank you, Mayor Hagan. Our last speaker before closing here will be from the Lethbridge Housing Authority Board of Directors, Bertina Croce.
Since we're all talking about these, can I get another one? Okay. I want to start off by saying thank you to everyone that has been involved in the comings of the expansion and renovation of the Lethbridge Wellness Shelter and Stabilization Unit. We are grateful for the Government of Alberta's grant of $4 million through the Alberta Housing Partnership Program and the City of Lethbridge's in-kind grant of $1.4 million. These grants for this project are the start of providing more space and safety for individuals seeking shelter from the elements and to access the supports and resources offered. I want to acknowledge the Blood Tribe Department of Health for their ongoing collaboration and operation of the Lethbridge Wellness Shelter. To the Blood Tribe Chief and Council, the Department Board of Directors, management, and to the boots on the ground, thank you for all your hard work in operating this facility in the past, present, and future. Thanks.
Thank you, Bertina. In closing, I'd just like to say I'm not very good at reading off of notes, so I'm just going to wing this part. I'd just like to say when we were given this opportunity to be a part of the Lethbridge Shelter and take on this challenge, I ended up meeting a lot of fantastic people at the Blood Tribe Department of Health, and their kindness and their patience in teaching me things that I don't know has been amazing. And when Cash asked me to read the land acknowledgement, my first thought was, oh my gosh, I hope I can say the names properly. I was so nervous, and everyone at the Blood Tribe Department of Health repeated it with me about 100 times. I lost some sleep about it last night. And I reflected on, what does reconciliation mean to me? What does it truly mean? We acknowledge this, but do we take it to action? And I think today is taking it to action. And on behalf of my team at Lethbridge Housing, I'd like to say we are taking this to action. We are very, very fortunate to be able to be a part of this expansion of this shelter and have an opportunity to work together with the Blood Tribe Department of Health, not only as colleagues, but as true partners and now as friends. So in closing, we will just turn it over to Alex here for some questions of the media, and then we will go outside for the actual breaking of the ground. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. That concludes the formal part of today's announcement, and we'll now open the floor to questions and answers. If you have a question, there's a microphone at the back there, and when called upon, please list your name, your outlet, and we'll restrict questions to one question and one follow-up. Any questions?
Yeah, it's Justin Sibbett with the Lethbridge Herald. My question would be for the minister. How long specifically has this been in the works? Was this something that I know we talked about with the mayor mentioned, it's been a lot of trips back and forth, but what's the time frame that it's actually been in the work, and how long will it be now until we see the finished product?
I probably have to look to somebody like Robin James as far as expected timeline on construction. I don't know if Robin wants to answer that. As for the work to get this far, specifically on the new shelter, probably about a little over a year that there has been real significant conversations taking place. As I said in my remarks, from basically the time I came down here till now, we have said this is what we were going to accomplish as a community, and we laid out a path to be able to make sure that that took place. I do think, to the mayor's point, though, that the core work, the foundation of the work to get us to a point where we could even go up to Edmonton and say, hey, we need to invest millions of dollars in this process, has been taking place here a lot longer. From the moment that the decision was made to make that partnership with the Blood Department of Health, and the incredible work that the team here at the shelter has done along the way has been going on obviously a lot longer than a year. But that formal process is about a year. And I'm going to take the opportunity, I missed something which is rare. And I knew as soon as I started thanking everybody that I could not thank everybody, and so you always get in that trouble. But there is certainly somebody that I should have, and I will take a moment right now, and that is, she's already been mentioned, but that's Shilpa, who is, without a doubt, for those of you who don't know her, has led the way here on the ground, has been one of the greatest advocates. I can promise you that she would not have let me not deliver a shelter by the end of the year, and I know we would not be here without you. So thank you for all of your work and your efforts along that way. Awesome.
And do you have a follow-up?
Just how long it would be.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, I missed that too. It turns out I missed two things. Go ahead, Robin.
Okay, so forget it. I'm not doing this. So the idea was to have the structure up and standing and ready for people to sleep there by December 1st. It's going up as a steel structure, so it will go up quite quickly. The finishing touches will likely not be delivered until about January, but the structure itself, with the heat on and the doors open, will be ready for December 1st.
My name is Jordan Prentice. I'm with Global News. At a 2022 point in time, estimated there was 454 individuals in Lethbridge suffering from homelessness. So this new expansion will have approximately, I think, 200 beds. I'd like to know what is the intake process going to be like, and what kind of support will people who are on the wait list receive?
Well, the intake process for the shelter would be a little different than an intake process for housing, to be clear. I don't have the exact count numbers in front of me about Lethbridge. I will stress, and again, if anybody from the shelter wants to add to this answer, feel free to. I will stress that those numbers, while real, there are differences between those that are sleeping in the shelter, those that are sleeping rough, those that are couch surfing, or those are in other type of programs. So our efforts with the process that we do here with the shelter will be to always make sure that there is full capacity for emergency shelter, and that we make sure nobody is being turned away, to be kept safe, warm, and able to go through that emergency shelter process. And the numbers that we held this year were adequate. At times, we were bursting at the seams, which is why we need to continue to expand this. But we fully anticipate the capacity that we're building will be able to keep up. But if it comes to a point where it can't keep up, we will continue to add spaces. To be clear, we will not be turning away anybody that needs to be kept care of on an emergency basis. And then some of that other component I think you're referring to would be around the processes to transitional housing or other next steps as we leave through that emergency shelter process. I don't have all the intake numbers obviously here for Lethbridge, but there are people here that do, and if you want, we could probably arrange to take a few moments right after this to give you a little bit more detailed answer to that.
Thank you.
That's you, Robin, by the way. Get ready. No, we'll do it afterwards. I'll give you time to prepare. Okay. Gotcha. Oh, do you? Okay. Robin's got the numbers. She's fast. Go ahead, Rob. And I didn't move your crate.
Thank you. So our homeless numbers are sitting, our individuals are sitting in and around that, averaging about 400 right now. The average shelter people in the shelter that are staying are about 120, is what I've been told, on average per night right now. So the capacity will be correct. And since I'm up here and I have the stage, there was an error, and I apologize for this. I was supposed to be asking our co-chair, Martin Heavyhead, to speak on behalf of the Blood Tribe Department of Health, which is why John Littlebear was quite surprised when I called him to the stand. So if you would please excuse my error, Mr. Heavyhead, I do apologize. Could I please ask you to come up and say a few words?
I think I was just as surprised as John. I felt for him. Anyway, I've always wanted to say this, a few words, and then go sit down. But I just wanted to, there's a whole lot of stuff I'd like to say, but one of the things I wanted to talk about is the land acknowledgement. There is a land acknowledgement that was introduced by the TRC and the UNDRIP, and to me, it's an important thing to do. There are 96 calls to action that we hope that everybody will be doing for this reconciliation movement. We had a conference just maybe about a month ago now. It was an archaeology conference. But of course, anything that is, well, there's nothing really done for Indians out of curiosity or academic curiosity or anything like that. These things that are done as a result of government policies. So we don't have any anthropology or archaeology specifically for Native people. It's always because a government project is going to dig a hole here. And if they happen to find something there, then they have to bring the archaeologists in and look at it. So in order to reprove Blackfoot territory, they brought together a PhD person from Arizona State, and she got a bunch of PhD students together, and they went back over all the primary research to prove that this is Blackfoot territory. And this is about the fourth time that it's been done. It has to be reproven and reproven and reproven again. But as a result of that study that was done, they decided, well, why don't we do something else? Let's take everybody's DNA and find out how long the Blackfoot have been here. Well, it turns out it's 18,000 years that Blackfoot has been in the area. And a lot of this Bering Strait and all of that kind of stuff has kind of been disproven. There are sites that have been proven to be 30,000 years old. Some maybe more than that, maybe as far as much as 300,000 years that are being uncovered. But a lot of this was being kept under covers because a lot of people made a lot of money off the Bering Strait theory. But anyway, the land acknowledgement to me seems a little bit short because there's no real acknowledgement that Blackfoot has been here for 18,000 years, at least. and maybe longer. But other than that, I'll look at my notes. And I want to say on behalf of the Blood Tribe Department of Health, I'm pleased to take part in today's groundbreaking for the expansion of the Lethbridge Wellness Center and Stabilization Unit. In February, we signed an MOU with the Government of Alberta, and we committed to focusing on culturally appropriate supports for Indigenous people experiencing homelessness in southern Alberta. This expansion will enable us to increase our shelter capacity to provide a safe haven for those in need. We know that Indigenous people are 8 times more likely to experience homelessness than non-Indigenous people. And those who are homeless and misusing substances face significant social exclusion and the risk of violence. Our ancestors have taught us the importance of community and the responsibility we have to care for one another. This project reflects our deep traditional obligation to look after our people, to ensure their well-being, and to uphold our commitment to standing strong and resilient in the face of substance use disorder. We look forward to working closely with the Government of Alberta, the City of Lethbridge, and the Lethbridge Housing Authority to create a brighter and more hopeful future for those who need it most. And my Catholic upbringing wants me to say forever and ever. But I'll end it with that. Thank you very much. And again, I was just as surprised as John when he was when he speak.
Well, thank you, everyone, and thank you for joining us. If there are no further questions, then that concludes the announcement, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Awesome. Thanks for coming, guys. Let's go move some dirt.